My name is Dana Yeliseyev. I went to Boston University School of Law. I'm a junior attorney at Legal Innovators, and I'm a secondee at Latham & Watkins. I'm going to be an official associate starting September 19th of this year. A little bit about me is I grew up in Fairlawn, New Jersey, raised by two immigrant parents. My parents immigrated from Moscow in 1989, and both my sisters were also born there. And I was first generation American, and so I was always told that I have to become president of the United States because I'm the only one that can be. It's a running joke with my family. Grew up in a really loud, big immigrant community in New Jersey. And am the first one in that family to go to any sort of professional school. I came to law school knowing that I really liked to read and write and argue, but not knowing necessarily what I wanted to do. I did not go through the traditional OCI process. I went more the public interest route. I took a lot of different types of classes ranging from international law to corporations to immigration law, and was in the immigrants' rights and human trafficking clinic at my school. And then did a little bit of government work where I worked for the Department of Labor, and then also did a judicial internship where I was working for a judge in the Massachusetts Appeals Court. So kind of dipped my toes in a lot of different parts of the law and a lot of different types of jobs that you can have with a law degree. And then when I graduated, kind of just cast a wide net of applying to a lot of different places because I was really open to all different types of work. I think I had a really idealistic perception of what the public interest world was going to be like, and recognizing that first off, I don't have a background in law. I don't have I was never a paralegal, and I don't have people in my immediate family who are lawyers. I didn't really have those types of resources available to me. And coming into a lot of community legal services, I think that they do a lot of great work, but it's also really heavily supported by people who have had long careers working in big law, doing a lot of really important work and getting a lot of great training, becoming really successful lawyers, and then later on in their lives being able to do public interest work and also doing pro bono work and partnering with law firms. I also think that the work in law firms is really interesting because the type of clients that you get to work with when you're working in big law, you kind of just have a wider range of all different types of jobs and all different types of clients that you can work with. So I've been really, really enjoying the work, more honestly than I ever thought that I would. The main thing that drew me to Legal Innovators was the whole model about having a support system and training junior attorneys before they're cast out into the world, starting to represent clients and working on projects. Definitely, I learned a lot in law school, but I definitely didn't feel at the end of law school that I was just ready to be completely on my own. And I really appreciated the fact that Legal Innovators model is all about creating that support system to make sure that a junior attorney succeeds. So I remember reading through the application process, going to the website, doing a lot of background research on Legal Innovators and learning about the whole training process. You take the whole month of October to do different types of training, from transactional to litigation to in-house, learning all about different types of careers that you can have. I feel like we needed to have those classes in law school, and they didn't provide those types of classes for us. You read a lot of cases, and you learn a lot of ways to be able to think about the law, but not a lot of practical skills to go out into the world and be an effective and good attorney. So I was really attracted to that model from the beginning, and that's what made me apply. I think that it's definitely advanced it because of that month of training. We had to do one sort of, I think it was a non-disclosure agreement. And I've now had to work with many non-disclosure agreements and have had to review through our we have a database in Latham called Knowledge Management through the resources that they have about how to review a non-disclosure agreement, and just using the resources that Legal Innovators provided to be able to understand and how to use that resource at Latham. And just like being able to have those resources in the beginning with training, and then also throughout these past 6, now 7 months working at Latham, having resources such as Scott, where I used to meet with Scott, every 2 weeks to talk about what was going on in the firm, how I'm fitting in, what is the culture like, how to be able to manage my time effectively. Also just learning about different organizational skills. I consider myself an organized person, but when you start working at a law firm, it's a different beast when it comes to organization, of making sure that you have like your precedents and your emails and you're always on top of things, and you're working on so many different deals at the same time that it's difficult to keep track of where you're at with each one. So I loved all of the sessions where we were learning about how to just organize ourselves. And I've been taking all of those skills and using them within my practice now. I was really judgmental about big law when I first started law school, because I didn't know anything about it, and it was just intimidating to me, and it seemed to me like it wasn't going to be a place where I would fit in. I've always thought of myself as kind of weird and, like nonconformist, and I don't know if I can, be in this business world. I never thought of myself being able to fit into the corporate world. And it has been so surprising how well I've been able to fit in at Latham. Latham has such a great culture. They do really appreciate people being individuals. They really want you to be yourself in the office. People are so welcoming and so kind. People are not competitive. It's like they just welcome you with open arms, and then they want you to hang out. They want to be friends. They want to have happy hours. They want to take you out to lunches, because then it also makes the work better. It makes it more enjoyable to work together on teams. And I think that was the biggest shock to me, because I was really preparing myself to walk into this office and be kind of a fish out of water and not know where I would fit in. And it's been the complete opposite experience. And people are just so interesting there too. Like everybody has really interesting stories, really interesting backgrounds. I think the culture is just really conducive to creating friendships, which I really appreciate. And I love being friends with my coworkers. And that's definitely something that has helped me be successful in the firm, because I'm actually enjoying going to work and seeing my colleagues and doing the work. What I value the most is just the opportunity that you get to be able to go into this big law world, when normally you don't have those opportunities. A lot of people don't get those opportunities, whether because they fall through the cracks or they went through a different route like public interest, and then it was already too late for them to do the OCI process. I do think it's a little wild that for a lot of people that aren't exposed to the legal field, and yeah, we could do our research online, but we don't really know what we're getting ourselves into when we start law school. And then already the summer of year 1L, you have to know exactly what you want to do, and you have to go through this OCI process. There's plenty of people that don't know at that point what they want to do, and they're still exploring different careers, whether it be government or clerkships or public interest or big law. And you're supposed to already decide. And I did not go through that process. And to me, Legal Innovators was the opportunity to be able to get into big law while also being able to explore all of these other opportunities that I did in law school. I loved all of the things that I did in law school, but I also love the fact that now I'm working in big law, and I don't know any other organization that gives you the opportunity to be able to do both of those things. You're kind of pigeonholed into one thing in law school, and it seems almost a little unfair for people that want to be able to explore different career paths. I do think that I would have succeeded at Latham, like also on my own, but I would have stumbled a lot more, and I would have really not been prepared for the work that was coming to me. I think that I'm a very social person, and I can get along with people really well. So any sort of social aspects or just being able to get along with people in the office, I would have been fine with that, but I probably would not have been able to handle the workload that comes in, and having any sort of understanding of even what I'm looking at. Like, I remember learning about what a letter of intent was during training. Also, I remember learning about all of these things that I had never even heard about before. I never learned about them in law school. And now I see letters of intent all the time, and I see different, like NDAs and everything that we went through training. I see that day to day now within the practice. Yeah, and without that training, I just think that I would have fumbled a lot with the work and really would have not known what I was doing and would have made a lot more mistakes with my work product. I think that with my background, it felt a little bit like my parents just really wanted me to go into business because that's the only thing that they knew really was going to be a path for their kids. Because of that, have always actually rejected doing what they wanted me to do. I've always felt like I've had to rebel against it. So I went to the Peace Corps when I finished university, and I worked as a waitress and a nanny and like a Zumba instructor, and I've had all these weird odd jobs. And then I went to law school, and I feel like my parents just look at me thinking like I'm making everything too difficult on myself. But yeah, I've always really appreciated that they wanted things to be easy for me, and that's why they immigrated here and they wanted to give me a really good life. But I've always been a person that seeks to challenge myself, and that's because of them. They immigrated across the world because there are also people that don't like to settle, and they're always consistently challenging themselves to be better, and that's exactly what I'm always doing. And so I'm always going to be like up for the challenge. I'm always going to try things that are really difficult. I really loved law school for that reason. I know people say that they don't like law school, but I really did. And I really love now being in big law and having challenging deals and challenging projects and being exposed to things that I don't know because I'm forced to intellectually challenge myself. And I think I come from a background of people who are used to really fighting through stuff and are used to working hard and challenging themselves and not taking things for granted and not wanting to just make things easy or settle.